Hello and welcome to Georgia Bulldogs Live here on the Georgia Voice of College Football. Just let me address the elephant in the room right now. I don't know if the folks at home can hear a difference in my voice, but I was at this game last night and I my voice might be struggling, but I'm your host Matt Green and my co-host over there, Bo Underwood. Bo, how you feeling?
Doing good, Matt. Well rested off of a big game, big night of sports. Crazy game 7 in Toronto. I wish the Blue Jays would have pulled it out, but Georgia got the win against our biggest rival. It's always the game I look forward to the most every year. So it feels good to get the win and get 5 in a row over the Gators, man.
Absolutely, man. And Georgia 24, Florida 20. I think I don't know about you, but I think if you're still a Georgia fan, or I think there's still like people in national media that talk about Georgia like they're a dynasty program, and so it's like almost everything about this team comes off from like a negative lens because you're like, oh well, they're not. This isn't what the 2021, 2022 what we're typically seeing in Georgia, and it's just like, okay, I'm past that now. It's like, okay, I've just accepted this team for what they are. And week in and week out, it's a close game. Should have known they weren't going to cover the spread, right? Although I guess they could have if Gunner
Yeah, they
runs it in
almost
there
did.
at the end. Yeah, I guess the game is almost going exactly to my prediction. I think I literally predicted it'd be 17-17 going into the fourth, but then I thought Georgia would pull away by 2 touchdowns. But instead, Gunner goes down to 1, and Georgia wins by 4. But yeah, it's just every game is just an all out war. It's a battle, not to compare sports to war, like people do, but like it's just grinding out. It's never easy.
Yeah, I think Georgia. It's like 5 of their last 6 games or something have been like they've been either like tied or trailing entering the fourth quarter, or maybe it's the second half. Either way, 5 of their last 6 games have been very close. I mean, pretty much every single one since they have begun SEC play was, except for the Kentucky game. And yeah, like I kind of do get like Georgia is viewed as this dynastic program that should just be blowing teams out and everything, but I think we've just seen that that's not really the era of college football that we're in anymore. Now that you've got unlimited transfers and you can pay the players, these rosters are just thinning out, and they're not going to be the stacked Death Star level teams that Georgia had a few years ago, or Alabama used to always have, or even like an Ohio State or LSU from 5-6 years ago. Like, I know that sounds like I'm making an excuse. It's like, well, all the teams are bad, and Georgia definitely has things that they need to clean up on that we'll get to in this video in this show. But like, I really just think overall, that the parity level in the SEC is really evening out, and the result is games like this. There's no dominant Death Star team in the SEC this year. Closest thing we have to that is probably A&M. They're not. I don't think viewed as like runaway title favorites or anything, even though they're a very good team. So I think this game is just a reflection of how the SEC's climate has started to change.
Yeah, absolutely. And this Florida team is not a bad team. And I think that's just what you've seen in the SEC. Like the bottom, you look at the bottom, and I have, if we have time, I actually made some power rankings for the SEC, but or at least my opinion of the power rankings. But if you look at the bottom, like half of this conference, and it's like all of those teams' games are close just about, whether it's Auburn or Florida or Arkansas, Mississippi State, like so many of these teams are playing close games like every week and just falling on the wrong side of it. But yeah, I mean, this team, I never respected just, the effort. This Florida team, despite the season being what it is, they still came out and were ready to play and everything. I would say this is the first cocktail party I've been to that was a game all the way down to the end. So that's just like a different feeling too. Not like the teal bleachers is always cool to trash talk once it's emptied out. But yeah, I mean, this was just an insane environment all the way to the end, and yeah, dogs on top once again. Is this
Yeah, I think
5
it
straight
was
now?
they said, yeah, 5 straight. They said on the broadcast that this was the first time since '03 that the game was tied at halftime, Georgia Florida. So thought that was
Oh
pretty
wow.
cool. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of with you in that at this point in the year, we're in November now. Like, I think we can kind of accept this team is what it is. It's a group that just it doesn't have the same caliber defense that we've gotten used to from Kirby Smart teams, and we've seen that before pop up multiple times this year. With the Ole Miss game and the Tennessee game, but they've also just like I don't think that fire, passion, energy stuff is coach speak or nonsense at all. I really do think they embody that. I like their competitive fire at the end of games, the way that they're always in these close games and they always find a way to pull them out. Like there really is something to be said for that. I know that you can go back and be like, well, Florida's 3-4. They just fired their coach. Why are you even in a close game with them? And I do understand that. I definitely get that. Georgia probably shouldn't have been in a closer game with these guys, but the fact that they were and they all just kind of stayed the course, kept their heads down, and just pulled out the win, I really do think that says a lot. And long-term college football playoff future, how are they going to do against some of these other, top upper echelon contenders? That I'm not as sure about, but I really do think that they have what it takes to survive in the SEC and make it to that level, to the college football playoff. And these kinds of games are just kind of what show you why.
Yeah, and that's where I am, is that I don't even want to have like that conversation anymore. Like it's just like I don't care. I don't care how Georgia stacks up nationally or whatever. It's like they beat Florida, and then next week they got to beat Mississippi State, and then they got to beat Texas. It's just a week at a time, especially after a year ago. I don't think Penn State was particularly good. I don't think Notre Dame was great last year, and I think those teams got kind of beneficial draw in the tournament, and it's like maybe that's what it is. You get a solid matchup in your bracket, and that'll help you get all the way.
Was playing Georgia part of Notre Dame's beneficial draw?
Absolutely. I think playing Georgia without Carson Beck, like, I mean, say what you want about Beck versus Gunner, but like that is Gunner's first career start, and it's in a massive and obviously Kirby Smart's dad died the night before, right? Or was really sick the night before. So it's like, yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on. But yeah, I mean, just getting a team that's the 2 seed in the whole playoff with a backup quarterback making their first career start, like that's a fortunate, just pull in the tournament, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I guess we can go to Gunner then specifically, just speaking of him, because I really didn't think yesterday was the best Gunner game. He had some throws that he missed, and I think there were a couple times where he held the ball too long and took some sacks he probably didn't have a lot of business taking. But that first drive of the game was dynamite. They just marched down the field 75 yards, and then they did it again on the opening drive of the second half. So, like, you have 2 really nice scripts to open each half, and then obviously they go on that drive at the end after they get the 4th down stop to take the lead with, Bowens eventually running it in. Zachariah Branch had some huge catches. Like, this was not the same, like, oh, the defense is getting torched and Gunner has to keep them afloat. It wasn't really that kind of game because the defense had some good moments. Elijah Griffin had that huge stop on 4th down, but overall, this wasn't the best game from them either. And it just kind of came down to Georgia, like, I guess just staying in the fight, chipping away, keeping themselves in the game as much as they could. And then eventually, they go on that big drive with Bowens at the end. But yeah, Gunner, I don't think that this was like a Heisman type of game from Gunner or anything, but another game that really just shows the resilience that he has and the grit that he has as a leader is like you feel pretty good with him out there in the 4th quarter, I feel like.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I do think, I mean, the interception wasn't a great throw, but like if you get 2 hands on it, you got to make that catch. Like it's a 3rd down conversion. Like you're on scholarship to make that catch. But obviously Noah Thomas had the big touchdown catch as well in this game. Mm-hmm. That's why maybe it wasn't a Heisman game. I guess selfishly, I wish Gunner would have scored at the end, get that rushing touchdown, get the stats up. But yeah, I mean, if you look at the stats, like it's just a pretty evenly matched game. Like Georgia lost the turnover battle 1-0. But I would say this was a good game from Georgia's defense. Like maybe it's not that impressive of a performance because Florida's coming in as maybe the worst offense in the SEC from a points per game. I think they were averaging like 17 a game or something in conference play this year. Probably like better than Kentucky or something. But yeah, so it maybe the offense, is part of why Georgia had a good defensive performance. But Yeah, I mean the 7 of 15, or sorry, 2 of 11 on third down and 0 for 2 on fourth down. And like you talked about, like at the end of the game, like two fourth down stops or turnover rundowns to end the game. Like it does seem like whenever the game is on the line at the end, this defense does show up. So but you just look at the number of possessions in this game, and Georgia got a lot of stops. Like I mean, there's like what, like 5, 6 straight punts from both teams in the second
Yeah.
quarter. So Georgia was getting more stops in this game. So I think I was encouraged by the defense, but no, this offense, it didn't look particularly great for the most part in this game. Chauncey Bowens obviously kind of came on in the second half, but also former Florida Gator commit Chauncey Bowens.
Yeah.
That's not
big.
bad at all.
That was a cool
9
development.
for 70.
Yeah. No, that was a huge run at the end there. I mean, I feel like I don't know if this was what you were thinking during the game, but I was kind of wondering the whole time, like, yeah, where's Bowens? They haven't really gotten Bowens going. I mean, he wasn't. I think he had a few carries in that game, but nothing that really, got in the second level. And then he just that go ahead touchdown at the end, man. I mean, that's some real burst right there from Chauncey. I mean, he hit that hole and just like he was gone. That was what a player he's been for this team, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for whatever reason, it feels like Frazier has more trust of the coaching staff because he's been getting most of the number one carries last few weeks. And maybe Bowens was battling an injury, I think, at one point, and maybe it's the Ole Miss game. But yeah, now to see this guy healthy, 9 for 70, like that's pretty similar, and from a yards per carry average, what he did against Alabama as well. So, but yeah, I mean, look, Florida still had 115 yards on the ground, like Georgia 138. So like didn't particularly dominate that. They were dominating time possession first half. I think it was like 20-10 or something.
And then
so
Florida flipped it in the second half.
Yeah,
Florida over the time possession, like that was an interesting split. I thought is Georgia sat on it the whole first half, and then Florida did that the second half.
Yeah, and I think at this point, just what the DNA of this team is, I think I probably went into halftime was like 10-10. Like, oh, this ball game. Like, if we're not losing at halftime, like, oh, we got this.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just is what it is. This team, Florida, they're just pretty evenly matched. Like DJ Lagway probably missed some throws in this one, but specifically, so what were your thoughts on the I guess we should talk the controversy,
yeah, we should.
right? The J. Michael Sturdivant incompletion.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on it?
Yeah, so I mean, I was watching the broadcast, obviously, where they slowed it down to 1% speed and played it on loop a billion times and zoomed it in and everything, and I really just could not develop a coherent opinion one way or another. It was so close, and they showed it so many times from so many different angles, and I was watching it with my hand hunched over, my hands on my knees, like, did he catch? I legitimately could not tell. It was so close, and I have no problem. Obviously, I have no problem. I'm a Georgia guy, but they had to go with the call on the field, man. And if they had ruled it a catch on the field, I would have had no problem with them upholding that. But they ruled it incomplete, and I just think that there was nothing on that replay that was like a smoking gun. You have to overturn this, or you have to rule it a catch or whatever. And I don't know. It just kind of is what it is. It's tough because that would have been a go-ahead possible, game-winning touchdown for Florida or whatever, and it just ends up being incomplete. Fourth down, they get stopped on the next play. But
it could have been a game-winning touchdown if DJ Lagway hits a wide open guy.
If Lagway puts the right amount of air under it, I mean, there's nobody within 15 yards of him.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think that was obviously. I'm going to sound like a homer here, but I don't think that was some egregious no call or some type of robbery by the referees or anything. I just think it was really close. I saw Brandon Adams from Dog Nation. I saw he put it pretty well. He just said, just because it's close doesn't mean it's controversial, and I think that's kind of where I landed on it as well. It's just that is a really, really close play, man. And I think whatever you call on the field, you just got to stick with it, and they ruled it incomplete.
Yeah, it kind of seems like similar to the Jackson Arnold standpoint. Like, and obviously this is going to come off as a homer take, but like, if you don't fumble the ball, then there's no controversy. It's like if Jackson Arnold gets a touchdown on that QB sneak, it's like you got kind of bailed out because you did fumble on the goal line. It was just by technicality you scored a touchdown. It's like if you don't throw it 20 yards behind your receiver, 10 yards behind where it should be, then this isn't even an issue. But obviously that's not like completely fair. But yeah, I look at this that catch and all the angles they showed, and I guess this is cliche at this point. Like, if they called it a catch, do they overturn it? Just conclusive video evidence or whatever. And I don't know. Maybe they keep it if they originally call it a completion. But yeah, I just don't think his arms are completely together when they're on the ground, and it does rattle around. Maybe it rattles around off of his arms, or maybe it hits the ground. It's just like you clearly don't have control of it at that point, and it's like, but maybe your arms are under there. But yeah, it was super close, but I don't know if you can blame the loss on that if you're a Florida fan.
Yeah, I might just be a dumb guy, but I really couldn't tell where his arms ended and the ground began. I know that there are a lot of Florida fans that will be posting individual stills of the play and be like, look. But I just couldn't tell. That, like, in the moment, me personally, I thought that could have gone either way, and that's just what they called it on the field. And maybe I shouldn't say this, but kind of off principle, I'm kind of glad it was ruled incomplete because it could have been a touchdown for them. If Lagway, obviously that would have been a crazy play, like to make that throw on the run. But if Lagway puts the more air under that's a touchdown. So
yeah,
it's tough. And then
it would have been the. Oh, sorry.
Oh yeah, then just get stopped on fourth down right after that. That kind of feels like a ball don't lie type of play.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, and also it would have been the second touchdown like that. It's like, okay, is that the game plan? You just run around and then throw it deep on Georgia, and they can't cover guys for that long. Like that would have been an awful touchdown to give up at that point in the game. In the same kind of the way you gave that one up to Trey Wilson in the first quarter.
Yeah, dude, he cooked him. Trey Wilson had a huge game.
Yeah,
I was glad to see because he's an NFL talent, and they had not been getting him the ball because Lagway just really struggles over the middle. So I thought that was a good thing that Ryan O'Hara did, was like, we're gonna get our best receiver the ball. Also hated that Dallas Wilson got injured in that game because I don't think he played in the second half. I think he hurt his foot.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen a lot of replay of the KJ Bolden targeting, but I didn't. Maybe I'm a homer there, but I didn't think that was a targeting.
Yeah, I don't like targeting in general. I just don't think it should exist. He led with the helmet. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that like it was some horrible call to eject him. Would I have ejected him? Obviously not. I wouldn't. I think unless you're like headhunting, like you got to be going like night train lane on guys for me to like even think about targeting there. But I understand it's a player safety thing, and I'm just glad that it didn't happen in the second half. I'm glad that he's getting to play next week against Mississippi State. But I didn't love that targeting call, and I also didn't love there were a bunch of weird ref moments in that game. The Lagway non-fumble, I thought that was probably a fumble. Yeah. It was close.
When was that? Was that fourth quarter?
Yeah, that was on the 3rd and inches right before the Elijah Griffin stop. They were winning, driving in the red zone, and third and 2, Lagway keeps it, and like I kind of thought he fumbled. It was really close, and I know I just sat here and defended the refs on the other one, so I'm not going to go too hard and insist that this was a fumble, but it probably could have been. But then, very next play, 4th and inches, ball don't lie, they get stopped. So not too big of a deal, but there were some weird officiating moments in this game for sure.
Yeah, and I don't know the rule, and I wasn't watching the broadcast, obviously being in the stadium, but of Gunnar Stockton getting a false start penalty.
Yeah, that was probably the weird one.
I've never seen that.
I've never seen that in my life. I think that was the refs trying to pull one on Kirby for Clapgate against Auburn. I think that would be like, oh, you want a penalty for clapping? We'll give you one. But Yeah, I've never. Do quarterbacks not clap to simulate the snap count like all the time? Like if you're running out on two, you'll clap, and then you snap it on the second one. I
Yeah,
don't
that
know.
was that was that
That was a big
whole
call. Georgia
for
would have kicked a field goal there if they got offsides there.
yeah. Oh, that was also it was like a 4th and 8,
It
wasn't
was
it?
4th and 8, and it
So I mean, maybe it's 4th and 3 where we are on the field. You might go for that.
you
So
could you could go for that or kick it, and then instead they end up having to punt it. So that was a huge call, and it was very strange. I hope that does not happen again in the history of college football, where a quarterback is called for a penalty for clapping, like during a simulated snap count. That was pretty ridiculous.
yeah, I'm with you there. I think not enough can be said about Zachariah Branch, Colby
Yeah,
Young being out in this game, and Zachariah Branch was just so good. I feel like he's just the most reliable weapon on this team. Basically 10 for 112, the long of 42. He was just and just the way like this is kind of when we were talking about our mid-season superlatives. Somehow he's still underrated because of just what he does to the defense when he's not getting the ball. And that's what you saw that Noah Thomas touchdown where he kind of that little wheel route is because Zachariah Branch is out there in the
yeah,
flat. Like it's
they,
just he's just so dangerous.
yeah. They don't win this game without him. I don't think. Georgia's offense looked pretty rough for most of the game, and it was really just Branch, bailing, saving the day over and over again. I mean, 10 catches. The amount of times Gunner just found him over the middle, and he would pick up first down or whatever. He's a superstar, man. He really is. Like he's just got next level movement, and you're right. I mean, his gravity as a playmaking threat, the way defenses have to account for him, it just opens up so much other stuff for other people. You can run stuff off of just his threat as a playmaker, and that's huge. They didn't have anybody like that last year, and that should really, with Colby Young out for the year, like as much as that does sting, like they've got playmakers still on the outside. It's definitely a different flavor of playmaker, very a completely different player from Colby Young. But yeah, I think that Georgia's offense probably scores 10 points and loses this game if it weren't for Zachariah Branch.
Yeah, I think he's exactly as advertised of what Georgia was getting out of the transfer portal, but also Zion Branch. Was this the first sighting of Zion Branch you've had? Basically played every snap after KJ Bolden was
Yeah,
ejected.
I think he played a little bit like week 1 or 2 in like Austin P or whatever. But yeah, oh man, safety play was not great in this one. I thought Florida's guys were getting deep pretty easily. Zion Branch had a couple of just weird moments in coverage. Florida had a whole touchdown drive that was basically all aided by pass interference penalties. Like this was not a great game from the secondary. Even Ellis Robinson at the end with like the game winning pass breakup, it could have been a pick six. Like it just
Yeah.
was. I mean, and that's the nitpick to end all nitpicks. That's not a very serious criticism, but I am just saying it was kind of a sloppy, messy game from the secondary from start to finish against a team that their star one of their star freshmen was injured, the other one got injured during the game, and then the guy who maybe is their most talented receiver but hadn't really done much this year just goes off. Like yeah, I don't know. I didn't feel great about the way the secondary played in this one, but the front seven looked a lot better.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And they actually got some pressure on Lagway. And he was having to run around and make some plays, and he did make some of those plays. But yeah, I in general, I'm never gonna be sad about a win in the cocktail party. I'm never gonna split hairs or whatever. But what would you say is kind of your biggest worry about this team kind of moving forward?
I just think that these close games are fun, and it's fun to get a heart pounding win and be like, oh, we stole that one, we pulled it out, but it doesn't really feel like a formula that you can win with consistently. It doesn't. If you have to pull out every single game you play in the fourth quarter, eventually you're just going to run into a team that isn't going to let you back in the game, and you're just going to get stomped on. And I don't know. I'm not sure when that will happen or if it will happen. Maybe if Georgia makes the SEC championship, they run into A&M, or they make the playoff, they run into somebody. I just think that this isn't this is a good team, and it's a really resilient team that fights in the fourth quarter. And there's a lot to be said about that. You know, the coaching, just the makeup of the roster and the guys they have on the team. But you got to play a complete game at some point, and this group hasn't really done that at any point this year, and that's definitely what kind of worries me about this game.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I'm not sure exactly, like, if there's not a lot of complete teams out there, I think is what I kind of, maybe that's what I keep telling myself as a Georgia fan, that's like, hey, who knows what could happen any given Saturday. But yeah, I mean, this team, they're not flawless. So it's definitely, I guess you'd have to say they got off to a slow start in this game. It's 10-10. But I think because that's what they've done in the past, I don't know, maybe like my bar has been set so low because of how bad that some of the starts have been this year. I was just like, they scored on the opening drive. They didn't give up a touchdown on the opening drive.
Yeah,
It's like,
good.
it wasn't a terrible start, but obviously 10-10 the first half with a team that just fired their coach and is bottom 4 or 5 in the SEC right now. I get it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Florida played a good game. You know, they really did come out there ready to play for Billy Gonzalez. I kind of thought that they were going to be a little bit more aggressive on offense with some more like razzle dazzle type of stuff, but they didn't, and they didn't turn the ball over or anything, which that was a big thing. They've been really bad on third downs this whole season. I think they're like sub 30% conversion rates on third down, and this game they were 2 for 11. So that was a good thing to see from Georgia, is their defense getting off the field on third downs, because obviously, infamously, the Alabama game, they had, I think, 13 conversions. Ole Miss was picking them up, even Tennessee. So I guess if you want to point to something positive on defense, it would be that. The pressure wasn't really getting there, but they stopped the run really well, and they were getting home and getting stops on third downs. I mean, so that was good to see.
Yeah, this is the worst team in the Kirby Smart era, I believe, on third down. I saw some graphic the other day. I think there's only one other year where that Georgia's given up like over 35% on third down. I think they're like 42 or something coming into this game. Yeah. So to go 2 for 11 on third down is definitely a positive that we've been waiting for on defense.
Yeah, no, enough of these 50, 60% conversion rates, man. That Alabama game was pretty infuriating from that perspective. So it's not a good offense that they just held to 2 for 11. Like Florida, I don't think anybody would call them a good offense, but it's good to have that performance against a bad offense. Like you want to see something there. And I think at this point, I'm just kind of ready to declare that like the pass rush is going to ultimately be like a fatal flaw for this defense, or the lack thereof. But if you can still like somehow force these third and medium, third and long type situations, like get a team in 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, you have a chance to get off the field. And I think that's what we saw yesterday.
Yeah, definitely. It's this is there's a lot of solid teams. I don't know how it stacks up. Obviously, Georgia's got three games and a cupcake remaining. Georgia Tech lost yesterday, and Mississippi State got their first conference win.
Yeah,
and then Texas is back. I don't know. So yeah. I think Georgia wins, 2 of those 3 games, and they're in the college football playoff. So hopefully they win all 3 of them. But yeah, I think I don't feel bad about the final 4 games of the season. I would say Georgia's playoff chances look pretty solid right now here on November 2nd.
Yeah, I think so too. They definitely control their own destiny, which is really all you can ask for at this point in the year with a team that already has a loss. Tech allowed 48 points to NC State. And that was the first competent team they played all year. Like who's Tech's best win before this? It was like Duke or like Clemson. And then they play NC State and just allow 50 almost. That was interesting. Texas, yeah, I try to tell people, man, Texas, I'm not saying they're world beaters or anything, but they spent a lot of dollars on that roster. There's a lot of talent on that team. Like that's going to be a big game in a couple of weeks when they come to Athens for sure. But yeah,
dead yet?
Huh?
They're not dead yet?
Oh, no, not at all. Arch Manning had a big game. Yeah, this will be an interesting final stretch of the year. It's nice, like, unless Georgia just drops all of them, I think they're in pretty good shape, but they got some pretty good teams to take care of, and I think those should be some pretty fun games.
Yeah, the media builds you up just to tear you down, man.
Yeah.
And Georgia Tech, it feels like they've had like everyone's been loving on Georgia Tech all year, loves Haynes King, and now it's like they lose one game, and it's like, well, who's their best win? And now you're dissecting the resume because they're not undefeated anymore. But yeah, that's after last year. It's still I'm not convinced it's going to be an easy win. And then because of how every game in 2025 is gone, I'm not. It probably won't be an easy win, but. Yeah, and then with all due respect to the Charlotte 49ers,
Oh,
I
yeah.
was
Shout out
only
to 'em.
shouting. I was only highlighting those two conference games and the in-state rivalry. But any thoughts about the other happenings in the conference yesterday?
Oh, yeah. Shout out to Mississippi State, man. Got an SEC win. You love to see it. And
Absolutely.
Auburn has some stuff to figure out, maybe at the top.
Yeah, I mean, surely you can't keep Hugh Freeze after a
Sure.
10-3
Don't call me
loss to
Shirley.
Kentucky. Not to call you Shirley.
Yeah, dude, 10-3, is that what it was? Oh my gosh.
10-3, yeah.
That's
This
rock bottom.
this team's giving up like 14 points a game, 17 points a game in their losses or something this year. It's insane.
He might be gone today, man. We might sign off this show in a little bit and get the notification. I mean, bro,
That's a good call. That should happen today.
that was really depressing. I mean, like, not that I like Auburn or anything, because I don't, but I just felt kind of bad like watching that. I watched a little bit of that game, and every time it cut to their fan base, I was like, dang, like, y'all don't deserve this.
Yeah, that was definitely that was a terrible one. Oklahoma beating Tennessee. I would say that was the most surprising result in the SEC for me. Not that I thought Tennessee was great. They've been flawed for a while, but Oklahoma going on the road. Mateer still didn't look great, but he looked better than he did against Ole Miss a week ago. So maybe he's kind of coming along. But yeah, Aguilar still throwing a couple picks.
Yeah, their kicker is a stud, man. Oklahoma.
Yeah, that's true
He
too.
comes out there with those shorts on, just kicks bombs.
Yeah, I guess you can get away with those shorts if you're going 4 for 4 hitting 350 yarders.
Beast.
But yeah, Oklahoma, I mean, their schedule is just so brutal this November slate, but you started off with a win at Tennessee, and then what is it, at Oklahoma? I think they got Missouri and A&M. Not A&M.
Yeah, they've
LSU. I think LSU is their final game.
Rest of the year they've got Bama next week, and then they got Missouri and then LSU at home. So they're going at Bama, and then their last two games are at home.
Do they have a bye? It looks like maybe they have a bye in between this and Alabama.
Yes, they do. Yeah, they're off.
Okay. So yeah, maybe that'll help them a little bit.
Yeah, so they're off. That could be.
I think Oklahoma is the only legitimate 9-3 playoff contender in the country. Like, I think this team goes 9-3. Like, they have a very legitimate case for being a playoff team.
Probably, man. They just need. I don't know. I guess Matera might just not be healthy the rest of the year. I don't know. Did you see that clip of like the fan that like grabbed his thumb and like he winced or whatever? He just hasn't looked. Their pregame, like their version of like the dog walk. Mateer was like high-fiving fans, and like one of the fans, I guess, like tried to like dap him up or something, and ended up like kind of grabbing his thumb a little bit.
No way.
And you can see Mateer walk away, being like it hurt a little bit, and
wow.
So I don't know. That hand might be a problem for them long term, but man, they've got a defense, dude. Like Venables deserves a lot of respect for the way he just came in and completely reshaped the identity of that program, because they play defense, man.
Yeah, for sure. Their defense gets after it. And then we referenced Texas, but 34-31 might not tell the story. Obviously, it tells the story of Vanderbilt giving a great comeback, but man, they almost got that onside kick at the end. Like, who knows what could have happened? But
not recover.
Yeah, it looked like they were about to just run away with this thing in the first half, and then Vanderbilt just battled on back in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, that was a crazy game. Man, I can't believe they didn't recover that onside kick. They had it right there, man. That would have been crazy.
Yeah, that really would have been. It was like 40 seconds or something, I think,
Yeah.
still left at that point. So, like, who knows what could have happened? But yeah, Vanderbilt is a legitimate opponent. I'm not gonna like sit here and kind of like, as someone who picked Vanderbilt to win this game, and then Texas does it. It's like, well, yeah, it is Vanderbilt, so let's not get too excited. Like, Vanderbilt is a really good team. Maybe not the 9th best team in the country, but a team that's 7-2 now, 3-2 in the SEC. So I mean, that's a big time win for Texas. I think you got to feel a little bit better. I feel like Texas was definitely trending in the wrong direction, but still somehow winning against Kentucky and Mississippi State. But so that they kind of needed this game, and then do they have a bye week? And then Georgia, I want to say.
I think so.
So they'll be coming off the bye before Georgia, and Georgia will. I think it got announced today. It's noon ESPN.
Yeah.
The Mississippi State game next week. So after Mississippi State, the Dogs will welcome the Longhorns off of a bye.
Yeah, that'll be big. They'll be coming off an extra week of rest, man. They'll get up for that game. It'll be a good one.
Yeah, and that bye is probably coming at a good time for them. And then the only game we didn't touch on, I didn't really watch much of, to be honest. Ole Miss, South Carolina. I think Ole Miss just kind of took care of business in this one.
I didn't really watch much of it. I saw it was kind of close in the first half. I think Ole Miss ended up pulling away. Ole Miss also isn't really out of the playoff either right now. I mean, they've got a good team. And what are they?
Ole Miss is almost locked into the playoff at this point.
They're 8-1. They're probably gonna. I mean, they've got Citadel, Florida, Mississippi State the rest of the way. So you win those, you're in, man.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Ole Miss has one of the weaker schedules in the SEC, I think, but still, if they go 10-2, like, they're a guarantee, and there's no chance they lose to Florida and Mississippi State.
They're probably going to be 11-1, unless they choked against. They lost to Florida last year, right? Yeah, where they really shouldn't have. Or that was Kentucky. Actually, no, that was just both. But yeah, just don't have a disastrous November loss, and you should be good.
Yeah, and maybe we should save this for our weekly show. But I mean, there's a scenario of a lot of one-loss SEC teams a lot of teams finishing this year with one conference loss, and I'm not really sure how they determine the tiebreakers between A&M and Ole Miss and Georgia and Alabama, or whoever can finish with one loss. Texas still in that group. I guess obviously some of these teams will play each other, but a lot of those teams I don't think play each other down the stretch. Obviously, Georgia would have the tiebreaker for Ole Miss, Alabama over Georgia, but some of these teams, A&M and Georgia, or A&M and Alabama, like, some of these teams haven't even played each other.
Yeah, I think there's a scenario where Georgia could win out and be 11-1 and then not make the SEC title game if Bama and A&M also both win out because they don't play each other.
Yeah.
So that would be tough, but that's just the way it goes sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. And we can talk about that more this week. But I think that's all I got for our instant reaction show. Not so instant, but I was making the drive. Well, I was not making the drive back from Jacksonville last night. Shout out to my boy Chase, diehard Florida fan, who made that drive there and back to Jacksonville same day. Good stuff. We're watching that World Series game in the car on the way back. Crazy Game 7. I was hoping the Blue Jays could pull it out, but
man.
Miguel Rojas. You got the most expensive payroll in the whole league, and it's Miguel Rojas.
I hadn't had a hit in a month.
Unbelievable.
The Dodgers are evil, man. I'm sorry if there's any Dodgers fans listening, but it's just sometimes the baseball gods just get it wrong, man. That last night felt like a battle between good and evil, and evil prevailed.
See, I guess this we're gonna get off on a tangent here. I kind of compare the Dodgers to those Warriors teams once they added KD, because it's like unfair how good they were, but also you watch the those teams play, it's like, oh, this team is so sick. KD and Steph Curry and Clay, like the way this team plays together, it's like, I can't even be mad. Like the Dodgers are just like a perfect baseball team. It's like it's hard to even be mad. Shohei Ohtani just doing insane things that never been done.
Man, speak for yourself, because I hated every second of the KD Warriors. Every single time I saw that team on my TV, I was just like, I wish this team got deleted from the NBA. They're ruining basketball. And that's how I feel about the Dodgers. They are ruining baseball.
It was terrible. It was terrible that they joined that team, but it was just like, just from a strictly watching basketball perspective, they're just such a fun team to watch. You're like, damn, it's hard to dislike this team when you're watching KD and Steph do the things they could do. But like I said, got off on a tangent there. But I appreciate everyone who's watching the show and everything, who's tuning in live. Like, share, and subscribe. I guess I don't know if we should do it tomorrow, Tuesday. I don't know what your schedule looks like. We're doing a programming here live on the show, but maybe we do Tuesday. I don't know. Any thoughts? Monday, Tuesday?
I can probably do Monday.
Okay. So we'll come to you at our normal time, Monday, 7:00 for Georgia Bulldogs Live, and then another post-game show again next week. That one probably will be same day, talking Mississippi State. Georgia, hopefully we're talking about a team that will be 8-1 at that point. What is Georgia's record? 7-1?
7-1, yeah.
7-1. 4 games left. So Georgia's 7-1. Rankings come out later today. I assume they'll still be number 5. But yeah, that's all I got, sir. Anything else from you?
That's all I got, man.
All right. Good stuff. Appreciate everyone who's tuning in live and everything. I think I already said all that. So yeah, you guys have a good one. And as always, go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
College football is even more exciting when you've got some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread, and I've got a 40-plus year track record. 11-0 in the college football playoff for me last year against the money line, 8-3 against the spread. And I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill of Wager Talk is our ace in the hole, show stopper. 7 years with the Voice of College Football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick. 28-12 against the spread the last 3 years. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Corey Bratta, Matt Zemek, and Steve Dace. Check out those numbers. Become a YouTube or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click Join, and then select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2025 a winner now.